That, I'm happy to take some questions.
Someone you mentioned next week you're going to expand a little bit further, 64, and then after that, 55 and older. You said soon. Do you mean this month or?
It will definitely be this month. Yeah, I'll get you the exact date. I mean, basically, what we look at the coverage rates in each age group, and then we look at the vaccine supply, and you can just make the judgments. With the current vaccine supply, the coverage rates for seniors are going very well. Obviously, you throw 1.5 million to 2 million people into the mix. Not all of them want it. And every year you go down in age, there's a touch less demand for it. But we're going to get a sense when the sign-up's there and see where it's at. But if the supply continues going good, I think for sure, we're going to see the 55 age in March, and hopefully sooner rather than later. But as soon as we get the allocation in the system and we know what's happening next week and the following week, and we can see that there's going to be enough, we'll pull the trigger on it for sure. There was some saying like, when do you lower the age? And we just said, look, we're just going to look for the demand signals. And if I get reports that some of the appointments, they have to reach out to fill them, that's when we want to do it. And so we saw the coverage rates. We saw the demand signal being a little bit weaker over the last week or so. And so now we're doing 60. The demand will pick up because some of those folks have been waiting. You'll start to see that and then get a sense of by the middle of next week, we'll see, okay, how many people are really doing it? Are these places really jammed? I don't think it's going to be like the end of December, beginning of January when it was like the iPhone times 10 coming out to get these appointments. I don't think it's going to quite be that way, but I do think you're going to see some pent up demand for folks in that 60 to 64 age group. But we will do 55 this month. I'm pretty confident, unless there's some major change in the vaccine supply, and that'll be exciting. And the fact is, you are more at risk at 56 than 26. There's no doubt. Now you're much more risk at 76 than 56, but we get everyone over 55 who wants it. When you start getting under 50, I mean, the mortality is just so low, absent comorbidities. And of course, the comorbidities we've had from the beginning. We've had hospitals doing comorbidities from basically December 23rd. They have a cancer ward. They're doing that regardless of age. And we obviously support that. Yes, sir.
Two things. Are you surprised at the low turnout here at the federal site here? I mean, it has been extremely low in the satellite site. And also, what's your reaction to the CDC's recommendation of opening up nursing homes?
So, we want nursing homes open. We've done that in Florida. They're vaccinated. We vaccinated 4,000 facilities. Walgreens helped us. CVS helped us. We had strike teams doing it. But as you know, we had visitation going on already. The isolation is devastating for these seniors. And yes, it's a serious pathogen. These are the folks who are the most vulnerable. We did a lot. I mean, we stopped the visitation early. We protected seniors from being sent back to nursing homes. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of some of those states that did that. If you look at the highest per capita mortality in the country, it's almost always linked to a policy of sending the contagious patients back into nursing homes. Florida banned that. And I think we mitigated as a result in doing it. And you need to focus on that. But now that you have the vaccines, they need to live life. I mean, let them make these decisions. And so we have no restrictions on that. We want them to be able to do it. And I can tell you, we had to make the decision many months ago to get the visitation in. And when we did that, the amount of joy that brought to so many people was unbelievable. And they were able to hug people. They were able to be with their families again. And it's like, I'd had some of these people in their 90s tell me like, look, I don't want to get COVID, but I need to see my family. I got to live my life. And I don't want to just be cooped up in here. So we're 100% want to do that. I do worry about liability for some of these nursing homes. I don't think it's fair if the nursing home residents are living a normal life and someone, because, look, these vaccines are very effective, but it's not like no one could ever get infected, or not all seniors are wanting it, even in the nursing homes. I don't think that should be a cause for liability. I mean, I just think like if you're doing basic stuff, let people live and do that. And what was your other part of the question?
The federal,
Oh, yeah. So they're doing it kind of on their own way. That's not something we're rostering. They've done it a little bit different. So for us, we've rostered things a number of ways. Through the pharmacies, they have the website. You go sign up. If we have a drive-through site, we either do a phone or an online sign up to try to have reservations so that people aren't waiting in line for forever. We haven't really done walk-up sites because with no reservations because we've felt that there was a lot of demand. Now, that may change and there may not be some areas, but I think what they're doing, they're not doing reservations. They're not necessarily, it's open, but like they're not advertising it to the whole public. They're going in certain areas that are underserved. They're knocking on doors. They're asking people to come. So they've had some success in it, but I don't think they've had enough uptake to be able to fill out all those spots. Now we're going down to 60, so they're going to be obviously able to do more in that regard and do it. But that's kind of the way they're approaching it. And look, I think it's worth trying that way. I'm not sure that it's had the positive results that they were hoping for, but it is a different model than what we've done. Now, when we've done a lot. We were the first state to do churches. So we were working primarily with African-American churches. That's the beginning of January. We'd pair with churches and we'd say, okay, roster people for us. How many can you get? We'll come and do the vaccine. So they'd have hundreds of parishioners. You show up on a Sunday, you vaccinate them. Same thing with our senior communities. A place like Century Village and Deerfield Beach. Say, how many seniors on it? How many you got? Okay, 4,000. All right, we'll bring 4,000 over a few days and we'll knock it out. That makes it easier because they're the ones that are getting their folks in line, and the seniors don't have to navigate necessarily a system. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. There's pluses and minuses with all of them, but obviously the demand isn't what we thought it would be. Yes, sir.
What sometimes goes to and like actually one where they uses for pretty exciting alignment
So this sheet is the sheet we look at the most. So it's vaccination coverage in adults 65 years plus. The health department compiles this. We get it every morning, and it lists every county, the total population, the 65 and up population, and the percentage of population 65 and up who's been vaccinated. And so that's kind of, so if you look, some of the areas that we've been working on specifically lately, it's really made a difference. So I mentioned we went into Highlands County. They were lagging. They were one of the worst. They're now close. They're getting close to the middle of the pack. They're 52% of seniors. If you look at Manatee County, they were close to the bottom. We went in, we did 2 residential sites, and then we did a retail pharmacy expansion. They're now at 55%. They were at like 25% a couple weeks ago. If you look at Pinellas County, same thing. We went to Mainland's community and then expanded some of the allotment there. They were lagging. They were in the 30%. Now Pinellas is over 50%, and that's a very heavy senior population. So we appreciate that. Sarasota County. We work with Senator Gruters. He said southern part of the county isn't getting enough vaccine. So we surged it there. They were in the bottom 10 counties for senior coverage. Now they're 60%. So they're one of the top 20. So that's pretty much what we're doing. We're trying to figure out where there's a lot of seniors that haven't been vaccinated. And sometimes we don't have a lot of extra vaccine, but as we're doing it. And we've also worked with the pharmacies to try to make sure that there's retail coverage in as many parts of Florida as possible. When we started with the Publix, we had the hospitals were getting most of the doses at the time. So the big urban areas that had big hospitals, hey, you came, good. So, Miami, Orlando, all those places, Duval had big. We tried to get it outside of those areas in medium-sized places with a lot of seniors. And so we did that, we'd expand it. But then as it got to the point where we had opportunities to do even more retail, well, Dade didn't have a lot of retail. So we put in the CVS EMOS in Navarro. We did the Palm Beach Publix, which is a big deal. So we're just trying to figure out where the gaps are. But I would say this is kind of what we look at is vaccination coverage in adults 65 and up. And in fairness to some of this, there's counties that we've reached out to who are very low on this. And we've asked, you want us to do another site or do it? And they say, we have a tough time getting demand right now. So there's some that have underperformed some of that is not necessarily because of supply. Some of it is because of demand.
So basically, though, you're basically, this is something where it's not a big problem, you have to work out, you're doing this, you kind of get it.
Well, I mean, it's looking at this coverage. This is obviously very fluid and it goes up and down. And so that's where we're looking. But I would say, you know, every single place where we've been able to really, you know, expand a footprint, do a special site, do more with the faith communities, you do see it in the numbers. And I think the retail is great. So I think what you're going to see in Duval with these sites, with the Walgreens, you're going to see the seniors get up to about 70% very soon. But then the 60 to 64, I think you're going to see those numbers really pop here in Duval County. And I think it'll be really, really good. One more. Yes. Sure.
Just talked about, so the Centers for Medicaid and Medicaid Services expanded the rules, relaxed them. The facilities here still haven't updated they haven't changed those rules yet. Are they waiting on you?
No. We've had visitation for a long time. We want them to do whatever's best for their residents. And so if there's anything they need us to do, we're happy to do something for it. But this is all about the well-being of those residents and making sure that, yes, take steps, which we have done, to protect their lives. Florida was the first state to vaccinate nursing home residents because the CVS and Walgreens, their program started basically a week after the first vaccines hit. And so, which was fine. I mean, that's what they had planned. And we said, you know what? We got to go. So we did 106 nursing homes in Broward and Pinellas with our strike teams, first one on the ground there doing it. So we've done all that. All 4,000 facilities in Florida have been offered a vaccine. Now, most seniors have taken it. Not all of them have, which is fine. But they have done that. We've done things to offer the protection and now protect life, but also make sure it's a life worth living. Make sure they have fulfillment. Make sure they have the ability to work with, see family members and do all that. And when you reunite, I mean, we had stories when this first started of family members not being allowed in. We had a lady, great lady here in Jacksonville. Her husband was in a memory care facility. So she got a job to work there just so she could see him. And so these are things that we want to link people together. We want that. That's a very important part of living life. And isolation is very, very destructive. And the thing I hear, I was just talking to a friend of mine who was in D.C., and he's like, you know, the difference between Florida and D.C. is like, it's dead. It's totally dead. Here, people are living life. They're happier. And things are you just want to be here compared to that. And I think that has an effect far beyond these nursing homes and there. But I think it's most acute in the nursing homes. So God bless those nursing home residents. They've been through an awful lot over the past year. But yes, we got to do whatever we can to bring fulfillment to them. So if any of those facilities have any need for the state to help them out on any of that, we're ready, willing, and able. We were the first with the testing. We were the first with the protections against the discharges into the facilities, first with the vaccines. And we want to be first to help them reach the fulfillment that they need. Thanks, everybody.
Did you guys catch that last part? People returning from DC say DC is dead. That's a quote from our governor. This is something I have talked about and alleged for literally months at this point. And now the governor has just confirmed it. DC is dead, as are a lot of the northern states and cities. They are not coming back. This is the big, sorry about that. This is the big secret that they are trying to hide. See if I can find a good picture here. There we go. This is what the administration in DC is trying to tamp down. They are trying to turn the spigots back on of money, of tax revenue up north, and they're turning on the spigots and nothing is coming out. Think about going outside to the outside hose and turning the handle and nothing, maybe a trickle. Realizing, oh no, Now that we've said, okay, you can, there's nothing to reopen in Detroit. There's nothing to reopen in Chicago, in New York, in Baltimore, in Wilmington, in Minneapolis. This is the reality. And that's truly why people are leaving. Why would we stay here even if you lift this restriction or that restriction or the other? There's nothing left. There's nothing to do. The whole draw to living in a place like New York City, if you could even call it a draw, is that there were hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of restaurants and entertainment venues and things to go and see. And if that was, you know, the kind of life he valued, being jammed in with a bunch of people and living in giant, huge cracker boxes, just because you could be entertained by whatever 24/7, city that never sleeps. If that's what you valued, then yeah, New York would be the place to be. But what happens when you subtract all of that? You subtract the museums, you subtract Broadway, you subtract all of the different little restaurants and places to go do things. It's just a giant slum. It's a giant ghetto. Why would you stay there? This is why people are coming to Florida. Yeah, we have pretty beaches. Yeah, we have sunshine and the weather's better. But the real reason is we're alive and living life, and they are dead. And now you just heard it out of the mouth of our governor. Why can't Joe Biden answer questions? Our governor is going around the state into just normal venues like this and sitting in front of reporters and answering any question they want to ask. And he's been doing this for weeks and weeks and weeks. Why can't Joe Biden do this? Why do they have to cut feeds? Why do they have to protect him? Why do they have to sequester him? Why? They know why. You know why. He's not a leader. I truly believe our generation is going to be the one that sees the collapse of DC, and I'm going to be happy for it. It's time we stopped looking every 4 years to the East Coast for our leadership, for our guidance, for our new dictator, our new Caesar. And we start looking at our state leaders. And other states can do this. I hope other states are taking notes. When people stand up and they want to enter into leadership roles, that they don't dismiss them because of military service. A lot have said that. A lot have said, oh, anybody who's ever been in the military, they couldn't serve in a position like this because it's a conflict of interest with the military. Heard this so much. Have truly heard this so much. In fact, there was a Secretary of Defense candidate that they said was disqualified because there's some rule that you have to be out of active military service for a certain amount of time before you can take that civilian role. I'll have to look that up. If more military guys would stand up and say, hey, I'm going to take my command training, my leadership skills, and I'm going to put them into governance and then surround myself with great people like our governor has. And we're going to have a command team. We're going to have a cadre. And we're all going to get on the same sheet of music and we're all going to pull in the same direction. And we're all going to be informed and we're all going to be educated so that if any liberal media pops its head up and wants to try to trap or corner us, we're going to have the facts on the ground. We're going to have the details to defeat them. And that's what's going on. And I know a lot of people go, why don't you talk about Antarctica anymore? Why don't you talk about other things? This right now is the most singularly important topic to cover in this country. And especially, the channel's called the Florida Maquis. So I don't know how talking about Florida would be contradictory to that, but this is going to change everything. What's happening right now is a complete paradigm shift in this country, and the media is not talking about it. Even a lot of channels on YouTube and other places are not talking, and they're not seeing this. The rise of state power, the rise of state governance. It's coming back, and it's not just Florida. In the last live, I even spoke about this. I spoke about Kristi Noem, the governor of Arkansas, the governor of South Carolina, the legislature in Georgia. It's starting to happen. It's starting to be real. And the unseen, hidden consequence of this is that is going to, by default, it is going to neuter big media. It's going to neuter CNN. It's going to neuter Fox. You know why? Because they can't sit and put on their national TV show, their national news show, local issues. They can't say that, they're a national news organization and talk about what's happening in Arkansas or what's happening in South Dakota or what's happening in these states. Because those are local issues. People don't turn to them for that. It'll give them less and less and less power. We make those issues local issues and not national issues, and we neuter them. And this is a clinic on it. So the governor still has yet to speak from TPC Sawgrass. This was Jacksonville. Earlier today, we did Columbia Lake City, Columbia County earlier, but we still have yet TPC Sawgrass, the Players Championship. He's going to be, at least he has announced he's going to be speaking from there as well. So we will pick that up and we will carry that to continue. I'm sure that's going to be a bigger press conference because there are national media presences right now in Ponte Vedra, Florida. Big international golfing tournament. People from all over the world come there. So he may have an opportunity at that point, just speculating here, to go head to head or toe to toe with national media, which I would absolutely love to see. So anyway, God bless. Hope everyone's having a good week. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you in a little bit.